Imagine for a second that everything you believe about money is a lie, not just a small mistake, but a fundamental systemic deception designed to keep your heart rate high and your bank account low. You look at the charts, you follow the experts, you try to understand inflation, interest rates, and the next big crypto trend, but you're failing. Do you know why? Because you are trying to solve a biological problem with a mathematical formula. You are an apex predator, trapped in a cubicle, trying to trade stocks with a brain that was designed to hunt mammoths. 8 years ago, I was just like you. I was part of the system. I thought that if I worked harder, learned more, and followed the rules, the resource would eventually come to me. I believed in the civilizational promise. Play nice, and you'll get your share. I had a life that looked good on the outside. I had a girl, Dasha. I thought we were building something. But the reality of this world is cold. It doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about your utility. When the crash came, not just the market crash, but the crash of my personal reality, I was left with exactly $15. $15. In a city of millions, that's not even a meal at a decent restaurant. That's the price of a few liters of water and a pack of cigarettes. It was in that moment of absolute silence, standing in a room that felt more like a concrete cage than an apartment, that the awakening happened. When Dasha looked at me, or rather, when she looked through me, I saw the primal instinct in her eyes. It wasn't malice. It wasn't even betrayal. It was biology. She saw a male who had lost his access to the resource. In the primitive world, that means death. And the female instinct is to survive. She didn't leave a man. She left a failing asset. That was the first lesson. Relationships, love, loyalty. In the modern world, they are all built on the shifting sands of financial stability. If you don't have the resource, you don't have a seat at the table of life. I sat there with those $15, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel fear. I felt a strange, cold clarity. I realized that the numbers on the screen, the ones I had spent years obsessing over, were just shadows. The real game was happening inside the DNA. The curse of civilization is that it has convinced you that you are a citizen, a consumer, or an employee. It has numbed your instincts. It has taught you to be afraid of risk, to crave security, and to trust the experts who are themselves just cogs in a machine they don't understand. But your ancestors didn't survive the Ice Age by following a safe 401k plan. They survived because they understood the flow of resources. They knew when to strike, when to hide, and how to read the environment. We live in a world of digital nomads and AI protocols, yet we are still governed by the same ancient hardware. Why does the market panic? Because the herd smells a predator. Why do you buy at the top? Because your tribal instinct fears being left behind. Why do you stay in a job you hate? Because the fear of being cast out of the tribe is stronger than the desire for freedom. This series is not about how to trade. It's about how to rebuild your nervous system. It's about returning to the savage psychology that actually wins. We are going to strip away the layers of civilizational brainwashing. We are going to look at money not as currency, but as stored life energy. When I had $15, I had to decide, would I die as a failed consumer, or would I be reborn as a predator of the new age? I chose the latter. I spent the next 8 years in silence decoding the intersection of primitive survival and modern finance. I didn't look at the news. I looked at the eyes of the people in the streets. I looked at the way power shifted in rooms where millions were at stake. I saw the same patterns I saw in the wild. The world is not getting more complex. It's getting more transparent, but only if you have the eyes to see. You are currently being hunted. The inflation you fear, the debt you carry, the anxiety that keeps you up at night. These are the tools of the modern hunters who want your resource. And they win because you are trying to fight them with logic. You cannot fight a wolf with a spreadsheet. You have to become a bigger wolf. In the next few thousand words, I'm going to break down the first pillar of the resource code. We are going to talk about the trap of the $15 mindset, why being broke is actually a state of biological paralysis, and how to snap out of it instantly. We will discuss the Dasha factor, the brutal truth about attraction and resources that no one wants to tell you. And finally, we will begin the process of decivilizing your brain so you can finally start accumulating the power you were meant to have. Are you ready to stop being a citizen and start being a survivor? Because the concrete jungle is much more dangerous than the real one. In the forest, the tiger just kills you. In the city, the system keeps you alive just long enough to drain everything you have. The biggest lie they ever told you is that money is a reward for hard work. If that were true, the construction worker would be a billionaire and the hedge fund manager would be broke. Hard work is a trap. It's a mechanism of the tribe to keep the workers busy while the alphas secure the perimeter. In my 8 years of silence, I realized that money is not a reward, it is a resource. And in nature, a resource flows to the organism that shows the most dominance and the least amount of civilized fear. When I stood there with my $15, I had to confront the resource gap. My brain was screaming in a language that was 10,000 years old. It wasn't telling me to diversify my portfolio. It was telling me I was a dead man. This is what I call the primal paralysis. When your bank account hits zero, your brain stops thinking about the future and starts thinking about the next hour. You lose your eagle view. You become a scavenger, looking for scraps. And the system loves scavengers because they are easy to control. They are desperate. Let's talk about the Dasha factor again, because this is where the finance and the instinct collide. Everyone wants to talk about gold diggers, but that's a lazy, weak-minded perspective. What you saw as a breakup was actually a market correction. Your value in the biological market had dropped below the maintenance cost. Dasha didn't leave because she was bad. She left because her internal survival AI calculated that staying with you was a risk to her future offspring, even if she wasn't thinking about kids. This is the brutal, cold math of the savage psychology. If you want loyalty, you don't buy flowers. You secure the resource. You become the source of stability in a chaotic environment. The modern financial system is designed to keep you in a state of permanent beta. It wants you to take debt. Why? Because debt is the modern equivalent of a chain around your neck. It's a signal to your nervous system that you are owned by the tribe. When you owe money, you cannot be a predator. You cannot take risks. You cannot walk away. You are tethered to the cave. I looked at my $15 and I realized I had one advantage. I had nothing left to lose. My social status was gone. My relationship was gone. My future was a blank concrete wall. In the wild, a wounded animal is the most dangerous. I decided to stop being an investor and start being a watcher. I began to study the markets not through the lens of economics, but through the lens of ethology, the study of animal behavior. I saw the bull market for what it really was, a collective delusion of safety, like a herd of deer grazing in a lush field, oblivious to the scent of the wolf on the wind. I saw the bear market as the culling of the weak. The people who lose money in the markets are the ones who still believe in fairness. They think the market should go up because the company is good. The market doesn't care about good. The market is a violent, churning ocean of human emotions, mostly fear and greed. To win, you have to disconnect your own emotions from the machine. You have to develop what I call the cold blood protocol. Think about the way a predator hunts. Does a lion feel guilt when it takes down a gazelle? Does it feel excited when it sees the herd? No, it is a process. It is a calculation of energy spent versus energy gained. My $15 were my first energy unit. I didn't spend them on food. I spent them on a book about human psychology and a notebook. I fasted for 3 days. I used the hunger to sharpen my focus. I wanted my brain to stay in hunter mode. Most of you are full-bellied hunters. You have just enough money to stay comfortable, just enough entertainment to stay distracted, and just enough hope to stay compliant. You are the easiest prey. You think you are investing when you put your money into an index fund and wait 30 years. That's not investing. That's a slow-motion surrender. You are giving your resource to the alphas of the system so they can use it to build their empires while you get the crumbs. To break the curse of civilization, you must first accept that you are alone. There is no safety net. The government is not your tribe. Your company is not your family. In the modern world, the only tribe that matters is the one you build with your own hands, fueled by the resources you take from the market. When I finally made my first move, back when the $15 had turned into $100 through sheer brutal discipline, I didn't follow the news. I looked for the panic signal. Panic is the most honest human emotion. When people are afraid, they stop lying. Their civilized mask falls off, and you can see their true intentions. That is where the resource is hidden. It is hidden in the moments of maximum fear. But to buy when others are screaming, you need a different kind of heart. You need the heart of someone who has stood in the dark with $15 and realized that death is not the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing is living a long, safe life as a slave to someone else's instinct. In the next part, we are going to dive into the AI protocol. I'm going to show you how I use the most advanced technology of our time to amplify my ancient instincts. Because when you combine the savage mind with artificial intelligence, you don't just survive, you dominate, you stop being the deer, and you start being the one who designs the forest. The resource is waiting, but it doesn't want to be earned. It wants to be claimed. The world has changed, but your biology hasn't. We are living in a dual reality. On one side, side, we have the meat space, the world of concrete, blood, and physical resources. On the other, we have the infosphere, a lightning-fast digital ocean where trillions of dollars move at the speed of thought. The gap between these two worlds is where most people lose their souls. They try to navigate a 2026 economy with a 1950s education and a 10,000-year-old brain. When I finally clawed my way up from those $15, I realized that I couldn't win by outworking the machine. You can't outrun a gazelle if you're a human unless you use a tool. In the ancient world, it was the spear. In the modern world, it is the AI protocol. Most people look at artificial intelligence and they feel fear. They fear it will take their jobs, their creativity, their purpose. That is the prey mindset speaking. A predator doesn't fear a sharper claw. He grows one. I spent years decoding how to merge my savage psychology with these digital algorithms. I realized that AI isn't here to replace the human instinct. It's here to amplify it. If my instinct tells me where the fear is in the market, the AI tells me how to extract the maximum resource from that fear in milliseconds. Think about it. Your brain is incredible at pattern recognition, but it's slow and emotional. It gets tired. It wants to sleep. It wants to protect you from the risk of losing. The AI protocol has no such weakness. It is the perfect soldier. It carries out the hunter's will without hesitation, without dacha in the back of its mind, and without the paralyzing fear of being broke. I began to see the internet not as a place for entertainment, but as a vast global hunting ground. Every social media post, every news headline, every price fluctuation is a scent on the trail. While the civilized world uses AI to generate cat pictures or write boring emails, I used it to build a digital exoskeleton. I built systems that could scan the collective nervous system of the planet and tell me exactly where the herd was heading before they even knew it themselves. This is the secret they don't want you to know. The resource is no longer just in gold or oil. It is in information and speed. If you have the savage instinct to see the opportunity and the AI protocol to execute it, you are no longer playing the same game as everyone else. You are playing a game where the odds are stacked in your favor for the first time in human history. When I talk about the AI protocol, I'm not talking about some complex coding that requires a PhD. I'm talking about a mindset. It's the realization that you are the general and the AI is your army. You provide the intent, the primal will, and the machine provides the technical supremacy. Look at the state of the world today. The experts are confused. The system is shaking. The tribe is divided. This is the perfect environment for a predator who has embraced the new tools. When the fog of war is thick, the one with the thermal vision wins. My AI systems are my thermal vision. They allow me to see the flow of the resource through the smoke of the propaganda. But here is the catch. You cannot use a high-tech weapon with a low-tier spirit. If you try to use AI while you are still trapped in the civilized trap, you will only fail faster. You will use the technology to automate your own mediocrity. That is why the savage psychology comes first. You must first fix your hardware, your body, your instincts, your reading of people, body language, before you can upgrade your software. I remember the day I realized I had won. It wasn't when my bank account hit a certain number. It was when I looked at a market crash that was bankrupting thousands, and I felt absolutely nothing but a cold, calculated hunger. My systems were screaming opportunity, and my heart was as calm as a forest at dawn. I wasn't gambling, I was harvesting. The $15 were gone, replaced by a self-sustaining engine of resource acquisition. I had bypassed the traditional gatekeepers. I didn't need a bank's permission. I didn't need a boss's approval. I had returned to the state of the apex, but with the power of 1,000 supercomputers at my fingertips. In the next part, we are going to talk about the most important resource of all, the body. Because if your meat space vehicle is weak, your digital empire will crumble. We will discuss why your health is the foundation of your financial dominance and how the spring of life protocol is what keeps the hunter sharp in a world designed to make you soft and sick. The hunt is no longer in the woods, it's in the wires, and I'm going to show you how to dominate both. You can have the most advanced AI protocol in the world and millions in your account, but if your physical hardware is failing, you are still a victim. In the world of the resource, weakness is a magnet for predators. If you look like prey, you will be treated like prey. This is the brutal truth that the comfortable civilization tries to hide under layers of soft clothes and polite lies. When I was down to my last $15, my body was the only thing I truly owned. I realized that my financial collapse was mirrored by my physical decay. I was eating poison, sleeping poorly, and my posture was that of a defeated dog. My dacha didn't just see a lack of money, She saw a lack of vitality. In the biological kingdom, vitality is the primary signal of a leader. If you can't manage your own hormones, how can you manage a global resource? This is why I developed the Spring of Life philosophy. Your health is not about fitness or looking good for a camera. It is about hormonal sovereignty. It's about having the testosterone, the focus, and the raw energy to stay awake when the market is bleeding and everyone else is paralyzed by fatigue. If your brain is fogged by bad food and cheap dopamine, your hunter's eye is blind. To win in 2026, you need your body to be a high-performance engine that can handle the stress of the hunt. But energy is only half of the equation. The other half is observation. Most of you walk through the world completely blind to the silent war happening around you. Every meeting, every date, every negotiation is a battle of instincts. While you're listening to the words people say, I'm watching the way their pupils dilate. I'm watching the micro-tensions in their jaw, the position of their feet, the way they breathe when money is mentioned. This is the body language of the resource. People lie. Numbers can be manipulated, but the nervous system is honest. When I talk about reading people, I'm not talking about some parlor tricks. I'm talking about the ability to see the beast inside the suit. If you can't tell when a partner is about to betray you or when a competitor is bluffing out of pure terror, you will lose everything you've built. I remember a specific negotiation after my rebirth. I was sitting across from a man who had 10 times my capital. On paper, he was the alpha, but I watched his hands. I saw the slight tremor when he reached for his water. I heard the pitch of his voice rise just a fraction of a decibel. He was terrified. He was over-leveraged. He was pretending to be a wolf, but his body was screaming that he was a cornered rabbit. Because I could read his biology, I took his resource. I didn't need a better spreadsheet. I just needed to see the truth that his words were trying to hide. The curse of civilization has made you polite. It has taught you to ignore your gut feelings. It has taught you to look at the resume instead of the animal. This is why you get cheated. This is why you stay in toxic relationships. This is why you follow leaders who are leading you off a cliff. To reclaim the resource, you must reclaim your primal senses. You must train your body to be a weapon and your eyes to be scanners. You need to understand that body language is the original code of the human race. It is the language we spoke for 200,000 years before we invented the first word. It is the language that Dasha used to judge me, and it is the language I now use to judge the world. If you are weak, sick, and blind to the signals of others, no AI and no strategy will save you. You are just a well-funded target. But when you combine a sovereign body with the ability to decode human nature, you become something the system cannot handle. You become an anomaly. In the final part of this series, we are going to tie it all together. I'm going to show you the complete protocol, how the $15, the savage psychology, the AI, and the mastery of body and observation create a life that is truly off the grid of the civilizational trap. I will show you how to build your own inner circle, your tribe, and how to ensure that you never ever return to the state of prey. The concrete jungle is waking up. The question is, are you the one being hunted, or are you the one watching from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? So here we are. We started with $15 and a broken life, and we ended with a blueprint for a new kind of existence. You've heard about the curse of civilization, the savage psychology, the AI protocol, and the biological foundation. But now comes the hardest part. Now comes the execution. The world doesn't need another thinker. The world is overflowing with people who know things but possess nothing. They have theories about the market, opinions on AI, and ideas about health, yet they are still tethered to the cave. They are still waiting for permission. If you've listened this far, you're at a crossroads. You can take this information, file it away as interesting, and go back to your cubicle, your failing relationship, and your slow motion decay. Or you can accept the truth. The resource is yours for the taking, but only if you become the person capable of holding it. The transition from prey to predator is not a gradual process. It is a snap in the nervous system. It's the moment you stop asking, is this fair? And start asking, is this effective? When I rebuilt my life, I didn't just want money. Money is a side effect. I wanted sovereignty. I wanted to know that if the entire system collapsed tomorrow, if the banks closed, if the internet flickered, if the social order dissolved, I would still be at the top of the food chain. Why? Because I have mastered the 3 pillars of the modern age. The primal instinct. I know how to navigate fear. The technological edge. I know how to use AI to multiply my intent. The human code. I know how to read the animal behind the mask. This is what I offer you. Not a get-rich-quick scheme, but a total recalibration of your reality. Whether it's through the AI protocol to weaponize your finances, the spring of life to reclaim your physical dominance, or the body language mastery to never be lied to again. It is all one system. It is the system of the resource. Look at the world around you one last time. Look at the dashas who walk away when the fire goes out. Look at the experts who lead you into debt. Look at the leaders who treat you like a statistic. They are all counting on you staying civilized. They are counting on your politeness, your hesitation, and your fear. But the silence is over. I didn't stay quiet for 8 years just to entertain you. I stayed quiet to build a tribe, a circle of individuals who have woken up from the dream and decided to play the game on their own terms. We are the ones who buy when the world panics. We are the ones who see the lie before it's spoken. We are the ones who treat our bodies like temples of power. If you feel that fire in your gut, that savage instinct telling you that you were meant for more than just survival, then your time has come. The door to the inner circle is open, but it won't stay open forever. The system is already trying to patch the holes I found. The algorithms are shifting. The resource is moving. Stop being a spectator in your own life. Stop letting the $15 mindset dictate your future. Reclaim your biology. Master the machine. Read the room. Welcome to the awakening. Welcome to the tribe. The hunt begins now.